Happy day. This is Angayarkanni, Department of Information Technology, M.O.P. Vaishnav College for Women. Today's topic is we are going to see ls commands and access permission in Linux operating system. Okay, ls command is an important command in Linux operating system which is used to list the content of a particular directory. So, when you use ls command, the list of files and directory available in the current directory is being displayed. So, ls command has an option called -l which helps to display detailed listing of the file. If you see here, the first one is simple ls command which is going to list files and directories in the current directory, and ls-l will give you a detailed listing of all the files. If you see here, the list of files which is available in angdir is the directory. So, all files and directory which is available angdir is displayed. So, you have nearly 6 files abc1, abc5, abc6.txt, abc7, abc9 and test file. So, in the detailed listing if you see, there will be 7 columns displayed and each column has a specific meaning. If you see the first column, it represents the file type as well as it represents the permission given on the file. If you see the first character of the first column, it may contain either a underscore or D or C and B. So, hyphen represents simple, that is normal file, D represents a file which is going to be directory, C and B represents special device, where C is character device and B is going to be block device. So, if you see in Linux operating system, either Linux or Unix, everything under the file system is going to be files, whether it is file or whether it is directory or whether it is input output device, everything is going to be your file. So, if you see the second column, it represents the number of memory blocks taken by the file or directory. So, directory is also a special file. If you see the third column, it represents the owner of the file. In case of Unix or Linux, it represents the user who has created that file. The fourth column represents a group of the owner. So, every user will be associated with a group. So, that information will be displayed by the fourth column. If you see the fifth column, it represents the file size in bytes. The sixth column represents the date on which the file was created or the file was modified, and the seventh column represents the file or directory name. So, anything if you want to visualize, the basic command which you will be using is ls or ls-l. So, -l is going to be the option. If you take any command, ls represents the command name followed by the options. You can have one option or more option in case of Unix command. So, as I have already told you, there is a special significance for the first character in the first column, where hyphen represents the regular file. It may be an ASCII file or a text file or a binary executable file. B represents the special file which is going to be your device. It may be a block device. For example, your hard disk is going to be a block device. C represents character device. For example, your keyboard is going to be a character device, and D represents the directory file which is a special file. So, now the important concept, the next concept which we are going to see is going to be file permission, file access permission. So, file ownership is an important component of Linux that provides a secure method for storing your files. So, every file under Linux or Unix has the following attribute, that is, it has 3 users, one is the owner, the other one is a group and the other one is other user. So, owner or user is represented by the letter U. Group is represented by the letter G and others are represented by the letter O. So, if you see here, so I am going to explain the concept using an example. So, we are going to take the test file as an example. So, I want to know what are all the attributes associated with the test file. If you see here, I have given the ls-l command and I am displaying the attributes of test file. If you see that nearly 7 columns has been displayed, where the first column represents the access permissions associated with the file. Which file? The file which we are taking is test file. What are all the access permission? If you see here, in the first column there are nearly 7 characters. The first character hyphen or D or C or B will indicate what type of file, whereas the next 3 character if you take, that gives the execute permission associated with the user, the next 3 characters specifies the execute permission or the permission, file permission associated with the group, and the next 3 characters specifies the file permission associated with the other user. So here if you see here, it is broken down into 3 characters. So the order of permission is R represents the read permission, W represents the write permission, and X is going to represent the execute permission associated with a file. If you see here in this example, the first hyphen represents that the test file is an ordinary file. The next 3 character which has been given in violet represents the read, write and execute permission of the owner. That is, the owner can read the file, can write into the file as well as execute the file. Which file? It is a test file. And if you see the second 3 character, the next 3 character, that is character number 5 to 7 indicates the file permission associated for the group. So anybody who belongs to a particular group can read the test file. They cannot write into the text file because it has been indicated by an hyphen, but they can execute the text file. And the next 3 character, that is character number 8 to 10 represents the file permission associated with that is available for other users, the user other than the owner and the group. What they can do on the test file is, according to what has been given here, it is R underscore underscore. That means they can only read the file, they cannot execute the file as well as they cannot write into the file. So the permission of a file is the first line of defense in the case, defense in the security of the Linux system. So one of the way in which the Linux provides security is by means of file access permission, and we have 3 modes. One is the write mode, read mode, and the other one is the execute mode. So read, what does read do? It grants the capability to read the content of the file or view the content of the file. What does write permission helps us? It grants the capability to modify the content of the file, and execute grants the capability to execute the file or run the file. So you suppose I want to change the permission. Okay, we know that we have seen already what are all the permission associated with the user, group and others. Suppose in case I want to change the permission, that is possible. That is made possible with the help of a command called chmod. Chmod represents change mode. And we have 2 ways in which it can be used. Either I can use symbolic mode to change the permission, or if I want I can use absolute mode to change the permission. We will see both now. So in case of, first I am going to explain symbolic mode. So you can change the permission associated with a file by using symbolic mode. When you use symbolic mode, there are 3 symbols associated: plus to add a permission, minus to remove a permission, and equal to assign a permission. For example, if you see here, plus will helps us to add the permission to a file or directory or any special device. Similarly, minus will help us to remove a particular permission. It may be read or write or execute. Similarly, equal to will help us to assign the permission. Either it can be read, write or execute. So we will see an example. See here, ls-l test file. If I display the test file, it says that what are all the permission associated with the first 3 represents the 4, that is second to 4. Second, third and fourth represents the user permission. So if you see here, the user has read, write and execute permission, the group has read, write and execute permission, and the other user has only read permission. On which file? On test file. Suppose I want to change the permission. For others, I want to give write and execute permission, because if you see in the previous one, only others have read permission. Now I want to include write and execute permission. So I am going to make use of the change mode. So what is the command here? Change mode. I have to represent the user. What is the user? O represents the other user. I want to give write and execute permission. So I have given O plus WX, and I have to specify my test file. So here if you see, the command has 3 parts. First is the command. What is the command? chmod. The second one is the permission I have given. I have given write and execute permission for which user? For others. And the third part is the argument, which is going to be your file. Which file, on which file I am giving this permission? On test file. And after I have given this, I want to see whether the permission has been changed. So once again I am going to list the content of the file by giving ls command. So ls-l test file. If you see here, you can see the change between the previous command and the next command. If you see here, there was only read permission associated with other user. Now if you see, it has been marked in blue color. Read, write and execute permission has been given for other user. Now The same way there are several options. I told you that either you can use plus to add a permission, you can use minus to remove a permission, or you can use equal to assign a permission. So, in the next command if you see here, the same ch mode has been used, but for user, u represents user or the owner. For the user I want to remove the read permission. So, I have given minus r, and on which file I want to remove that? Test file. So, I have given that. Once again I want to check whether the permission has been changed. So, once again I am going to display the content of the attributes of the test file using ls-l. So, it gives the detailed listing of the file. So, when I give this command you can see the change here. Here what happened? For the user, read permission has been removed. You can compare the previous one, the one which is in violet color, we had read, write and execute for the user. Now, if you see that R has been removed and we have an hyphen which says that the user does not have a read permission on the file, test file. Now, this is another example. U represents the user. So, I want to remove the execute permission for the user. So, I have given chmod u minus x and the file is test file. So, if after executing this I want to check the detailed listing of the file. So, I have given ls-l test file, and if you see here already there was an execute permission for the user, but if you see here in the place of x an underscore appears, that means that the execute permission of the user has been removed. The other option I told you, we have seen an example for plus, we have seen an example for minus. Now, we are going to see how to use the equality symbol. So, chmod g is equal to rx, that means for the user called group I want to assign read and execute permission on which file? On test file. After that I want to check whether the attribute has been changed. So, I am going to give ls-l test file. If you see here for the group, the which character is associated with the group? 5th character, 6th character and 7th character represents the group. So, whatever has been marked in red color, if you see r hyphen x, that means for the group only we have read and read and execute permission, there is no write permission. So, the next one, if you want you can combine all the three, you can add it. It is not a must that we have to give only permission for a single user. At a time we can give the permission for user, group and others, and the order can be changed. So, an example has been given here, chmod o represents the others. For others I want to add write and execute permission, comma. For the user I want to remove execute permission, so u hyphen x, and for the group I want to assign read and execute. So, I have given as g is equal to rx, and on which file? Everything has to be applied on the file called test file. So, now the change would have been reflected, but I want to check the change. So, how will you check the change? By using ls-l command. So, I am giving ls-l test file, and if you see here whatever you have asked to implement, that has been implemented. For user I want to remove execute permission. So, only what permission is there? For user, if you see the previous one it was having the same thing. So, there was no execute permission. So, no change has been taken place. For group we want to give read and execute, that is also available, and for others we want to add write and execute permission, and that has been given. Now, so what we have seen is symbolic mode, how to change the file permission using symbolic mode. Now, we are going to see how to change the file permission using absolute mode. In absolute mode we will not be using the symbols, we will be using the numbers. So, if you do not want to give any permission for either the user or group or others, you are going to use 0. 0 represents no permission, and if you want to give execute permission you have to make use of the number 1. If you want to give write permission, it is represented by the numeric value 2, and if you want to give the read permission, it is represented by 4. So, whatever has been given in the red color you have to remember. So, 0 means no permission, 1 means execute permission, 2 means write permission, and 4 means read permission. Now, using the combination of 1, 2 and 4, if you are going to mix it, you can have the other combination. For example, you see here, I want to give, I have told you only 3 numbers, right, 4 numbers, 0 for no permission, 1 for execute, 2 for write and 4 for read. So, if you want to give a combination of permission, you have to add that. Suppose I want to give execute and write. What is the number associated for execute? It is 1. What is the number associated for write? It is 2. So, add it, you will get 3. When you give the number 3, you will get both execute as well as write permission. So, number 3 means it is a combination of 1 and 2. So, both execute and write permission will be given for the file. Suppose I want to give read as well as execute permission. For read, what is the number associated with read? It is 4. What is the number associated with execute? It is 1. Add it, it is going to be 5. So, if you give number 5, it means that for that particular user, you want to give read as well as execute permission. Similarly, when will you get the combination of 6? If you add 4 plus 2, you get 6. 4 is for read, 2 is for write. So, when you give 6, it means that you want to give both read and write permission for the particular user on a particular file. When will you get 7? When you add 4, 2 and 1. What is 4? 4 is associated with read. What is 2? 2 is associated with write, and what is 1? 1 is associated with execute. So, if you give number 7, it means that you want to give the read permission as well as write permission as well as execute permission for a particular user on a particular file. So, an example has been given here. We will take the same file, test file. So, ls-l test file will list the detailed listing of the file. It says that for the user, read, write, execute permission is there. For the group also, read, write, execute permission is there, and for others only read permission is there. Now, I want to change the permission. So, I have made use of the chmod command, chmod, and I have given 1, 2, 3. What does 1 represent? 1 represents execute, and for whom? The first number is associated with the permission of user, the second number is associated with the permission of group, and the third number is associated with the permission of others. That means 1 means that permission goes for user, 2 means that permission goes for group, and 4 means that permission goes for others. And on which file? Test file. So, if you see here, 1 represents execute. So, the user has only execute permission. 2 represents your write permission. So, the group has only write permission, and 4 represents read permission. So, the other users have only read permission on the file, test file. So, few more example we can see. I have given the command chmod 743 on test file. What does 7? 7 represents read permission, write permission and execute permission. So, that permission is associated with a first group. What is the first one? User. User followed by group followed by others. So, 7 goes for user, 4 goes for group and 3 goes for others. What does 4 represent? 4 represents read permission. So, 1 is execute and 2 is going to be write. So, for other user it is going to be write and execute permission. For the user it is going to be all 3 permissions. So, you have read, write, execute, then for the group read, and for the others it is going to be write and execute. So, another example has been given where 0, what does 0 represent? No permission. I do not want to give read permission, I do not want to give write permission as well as I do not want to give execute permission. So, 0 means there is no permission, all permission from the user has been removed. 4 means read, so only read permission has been given for the group, and 3 means it is going to be write and execute. So, write and execute permission has been given for the other user. So, now, you know how to change the file permission by using both absolute mode and symbolic mode. Using what is the command used for that? chmod. Now, I have taken a small script file, it is a bash file. It's a bash script file. What does the program do? I want to display the numbers between 1 to 5. So, the program has been done using while loop. Now, after doing this, usually you will type this file using VI editor. After doing this file, I want to execute the file. To execute the script file, the command is // followed by the program name. What is the program name? The program name is pgm2. So, I want to execute it. There is no error, I want to execute and see. So, /pgm2, if I give that, it says permission denied, because by default for anybody the execute permission will not be given, because that is for security purpose. So, now I am unable to execute because I do not have an execute permission on the file pgm2. Just see, I want to see, check whether there is no execute permission. So, I have given the command ls-l pgm2. If you see here, for the user there is no execute permission, for the group also there is no execute permission, and for others there is no write and execute permission. Now, I want to give execute permission. So, you know what is the command to give? You can either use symbolic mode or absolute mode. What has been used here? We have used absolute mode. So, CH mod 700. What does 7 represent? 7 goes for user, the next number goes for group, the next number goes for others. For 7 is for user, I want to give read, write and execute permission for user, and for the others I am not bothered because I am the user and I want to execute the file. So, after doing this I want to see what change has been reflected. So, once again I am going to give ls-l command. So, I have given ls-l pgm2, and after that if you see here, the user has read, write and execute permission. If you see, X is available here. Previously X was not there, now X is available. Once again I am going to give the same command to execute the files ./pgm2, and you are getting the output, the numbers between 1 to 5 has been displayed. Oh, this is the way by which security is enabled in case of Linux or Unix. So, one of the way in which the security is enabled. Now, I have given few examples which you can try that. So, you can take the test file and you can take any one option, and using that you can say what will be the changes that will happen once you execute these commands. So, this is using absolute command, the other one is using symbolic. So, you can try this. So, for today whatever we have covered is, we have seen the basic command which is very important, which is going to be ls command, normal ls command plus ls command with -l option has been seen. So, now what and all we have covered is ls command, then changing the permission using ch mode. In that we have seen two types, one is the symbolic mode and the other one is absolute mode. Thank you.